Layla.
Do you think creating a life, having a child is ethical? Because this person never asked to be born, and you don't know what the quality of their life will turn out to be. They could grow up and just be burdened with all these issues and just something I didn't think about.
Okay, that's a really, really, really good question. Let me approach it in a couple of different ways. Some of the ways may not be to your liking, but I like my conversations to be relatively honest. So here it is. تا نباشد چیزکی مردم نگویند چیزها. It's a satirical couple of lines in Persian, which means that when you ask a question, you reveal a good amount of ingredients about yourself. When you ask, is it ethical to have children? The first thing you're saying is, my name is Layla. I have all these questions. I have all these feelings that are troubling. I'm looking for answers, and no one out there is able to give me the answers. And these are not casual questions, these are not casual emotions. They are intense, they are deep-rooted. You're being haunted by them day in and day out. Okay? It may be that you try to subdue them, repress them by alcohol, by drugs, by violence, by porn, by reading, by writing. Who the heck knows? But the question reveals a good amount of crisis that lives inside the questionnaire. Okay, that's the first thing. And when you have a crisis of this magnitude, you're also suggesting that life is meaningless. Not my life, not the life of the person sitting behind you, next to you, but your life. It has no value. When someone says, for example, should I stay in my marriage? They're not asking about the history of marriage, why people get married, the merits of marriage, how to resolve conflicts. That's not what they're asking. It's a very, very, very personal question. But we are very cunning animals. If we weren't that cunning, we wouldn't have survived all these millions of years. Okay. The other thing that you need to know about these questions is that we have every right to ask them. And I'll tell you one. When a giraffe goes into labor and 10 minutes later this baby giraffe comes out, it takes about 5 minutes for this baby giraffe to start walking, eating. A cub lion, a minute later they walk. A couple of weeks later they learn how to hunt. They have no need for their parents after a few months. Every animal in the animal kingdom that you look at, they learn the art of survival so quickly. Human beings, it seems, we are the only cursed animal. Mark Twain once remarked that, people say God is all perfect, is all knowing. Have you looked at human beings and what happens to their eyesight? Owls see much better at night than human beings can. Chimps never suffer a backache. If God is all-knowing, if God is all good, why is it that He creates animals and creates human beings in a way that they become so disabled? Because your question at its very root is about justice. Why am I being born when no tools for survival are given to me? That emotionally I'm disabled, intellectually I have questions to which there are no answers. I want to get myself out of this emotional rut and yet I can't. I want to be in a relationship because that's what human beings desire to do, be in relationships. And yet you don't know how to navigate them. You want to make money, but you realize it comes with a cost. What benefit is there for a man or a human being to gain the whole world but lose their soul? You want a job, but you don't want to lay in bed at night saying, yes, I just made $5,000. But my life has no meaning. When someone says, why am I born? Or why was I born? Their question is profoundly important because it rests on justice. I want to know. Because this life is filled with injustice. And you seek justice from your parents. They can't give it to you. From your friends, they can't give it to you. You take a philosophy class in hopes that you can find answers. But remember, wisdom. No one can give that to you, and that's why the wisdom is virgin. It cannot be touched by the human mind, by the human hands. It can't even be touched by you. No one can give it to you. It's got no parents. At least none that you can see. Now, I can't talk about parenthood. That's something we talked about last class time on Tuesday. Because you're not born as a parent. You are created, made to be one. And there are prerequisites. There are steps you go through to become a parent. And let me tell you what they are. Number one, all organisms in creation have only one function: to survive. Whether you're a cow, or a leech, or a rat, or a human being, your function is to survive. Survive individually, yes, but also collectively. One of your functions as a creature, Layla, is to make sure that the human race does not go away. You didn't ask for this burden. It's there. Inside you. Somehow. Now, you may not like this. There is going to come a time in your life where your sexual drive will be like a volcano erupting. You know why? It's given to you by nature. How else can the human species survive? There is another thing you need to know about your sex drive. It is raw. It is unreflective. And it's not going to allow you to think as to who you're going to bed next time. Because if you were to reflect about the quality of sex, the quality of men or women you're bedding, you would never have intimacy with anyone. Because no one would be deserving of your body, of your presence, of your energy. It is blind. Now, let me tell you also how this is going to work out for you. Now, I don't know if there is a God. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Okay. This is you, Layla. And the color suits you. It's blue. A little sad. A little lonely. Okay? You come into this world with 5 enormously powerful tools. Every healthy body comes with them. You have eyes. Their function is to see. You have nose. Its function is to smell. You have ears. Their function is to hear. You have a tongue. Its function is to taste. And you have fingers or skin. And let's just say fingers. Its function is to touch. Okay. You know what these 5 senses do for you? They connect you to the physical world. You can't escape it. It's impossible. When you woke up this morning, the moment you opened your eyes, what did you see? The ceiling. That's a relationship. Maybe you look out the blinds and you realize the sun is coming out. It's time to go to school. What you see creates thoughts. Your philosophy class will soon start. These are called the 5 senses. These 5 senses. They are your tools for relationships. All kinds. Casual, superficial, intimate, not so intimate. It makes little difference. Without them, you will not function. Now, these 5 senses give you one thing. It's called experience. You're sitting over there, I'm over here. You're looking at me. Now, what you see, okay, you're going to come to one of 2 conclusions. I like his beard. I don't think they look good on him. Maybe you don't like the tone of my voice. The judgments you're making, they come to you naturally. They are unvarnished. Now, you don't have to have your PhD in music to know whether or not the tone of my voice suits you, makes you calm or not. It just happens naturally, organically. Your body has a good amount of wisdom in it. You don't need to read the Bible for that. You don't need to go to church. You don't need to ask your father, does he sound good? You just know. Okay? All experiences fall into 3 categories. You like them, you dislike them, you're indifferent. Put differently, all experiences, they either fall in the category of pleasure, pain, indifference. It is impossible for you not to fall into one of these. Impossible. Now here's the thing you need to understand. Matthew said he reads some of the stuff from this class. It gives him pain. But inside the pain there is pleasure. Now sometimes you're in bed with someone. There is a good amount of pleasure. But deep down there is pain. You really don't want to be there. In about 14 weeks' time, you will get pleasure from this class because you will get an A. But your presence right now, because you don't like me, gives you pain. Okay? So remember, everything is very complicated. Nothing is black and white in the human world. Okay? Now, here's the thing you need to know, Layla and the rest of you. Whatever gives you pleasure, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever gives you pleasure, you want it to continue. If you smoke weed, you want to keep smoking weed. Why? What does weed do for you? Helps you forget. Helps you remember, helps you feel, gives you certain amounts of liberation or freedom, allows you to be more organic. I mean, in the long run you become stupid, but that's besides the point. Okay? What makes this tricky is that what gives you pleasure also gives birth to what we call greed. It is not a sin, it is organic. There comes a point where greed turns into sin. We'll talk about that later. Okay? Now, what brings you pain is something you want to refrain or run away from. You know, we've had people in this class who are no longer here. Why? Is it because they know me? Is that the reason why they dropped the class? Is it because they know my history? They know my background? Of course not. They saw me, an antenna inside them goes up and says, nah, I was looking for someone younger, better looking. Or maybe they like me, but when they heard the things that I say, I don't think I want to be here. This is not a philosophy class. It's nonsense. It just rambles on about ridiculous things. It doesn't fit the description in the catalog. The grading system is a little vague. He makes the class far too personal. I don't like it. Do you see them here? Of course not. They dropped. Why is this important for you to know? Because of the following. Here's an 18-year-old Jack. Here is an 18-year-old Jacqueline. Okay? They go to a party. He's showered. She's showered. They don't know each other. He has some cologne on and she has this beautiful perfume on. It's intoxicating. They're standing next to each other and they've never seen each other. The nose comes into play. Jack, what's that? Looks to his left and there is Jacqueline. You don't need the Bible for that. Your nose says, come on, man. You know, be a dog. See where that smell is coming from. Huh? Looks to his left and there is Jacqueline. Now, that is the first trap. If Jacqueline happens to be, in Jack's estimation, unattractive, i.e. ugly, the nose gets paralyzed, the eyes see, and the eye sends a signal saying, oh my God, yuck. Walks away. It happens organically. Now, if you're on this high horse where you say, and everybody lives the kingdom of God, then you know what you're going to do. You're going to stop to say, Jack, don't be such a stupid punk. There's more to people. Yes, she may be ugly, but talk to her. Maybe she has gold inside. Maybe she speaks well. Now you have to kind of manipulate and coerce and exploit yourself to go against what you actually feel. And we do it all the time. You know, you go to work, you want to look at your boss and say, no. So we do that on a daily basis, lying to ourselves and other people. Okay. Now, imagine for a moment that Jacqueline not only smells good, but also looks good. Remember now, when Jacqueline smells good, you have pleasure. Through your nose. When Jacqueline looks good, the pleasure continues. Now imagine Jacqueline now, you say hello, and Jacqueline says, hi. Well, who the hell wants to be around someone who has such a tone? I certainly don't. Do you? No. Unless you're deaf. And now your ears come into play, and Jacqueline says, hi, my name is Jacqueline. So, oh my God, she smells good, looks good, and sounds good. Okay? And then after a few minutes of talking, you guys shake hands. Now imagine if her skin feels like a reptile. What are you going to do? You're going to what? Imagine her naked? Of course not. You're going to walk away. At any moment, this relationship could go down. Now, let's say you kind of touch her shoulders or her hand. You say, oh, well, that's soft. That's nice. Now, remember how it happens. First, it's the smell that gets you close. Then it's the eyes that get you closer. And then it's the ears that get you closer. Then it's the touch that even makes it more intimate. And they're only 18. Governed by organic forces that live inside you and I. Do you really think Jack knows anything about relationships? Do you think he knows anything about fatherhood? Commitment? Conflict resolution? He's an idiot. Just driven by forces he doesn't understand. Now this woman, she's getting attention. Who the hell doesn't want attention? He gives it to her, she likes it. She gives it to him, and he likes it. What, you want him to sit back and say, why is he talking to me? Does he know me? No. Now, as this pleasure snowballs and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, what do you think they want to do eventually? And this is not the Middle East. Okay? This is Oakland. When they are in a party and they've been hanging out for like a week or maybe a day, well, these is maybe a couple of minutes, what is it that they eventually want to do? That is the first thing you need to know about your parents. individuals from completely different backgrounds, governed by inner forces, organic forces that they don't really understand. Add to it the fact that deep down you desire to be in relationships. It's in us. You want someone to look at you. You want someone to listen to you. You know, sometimes when you walk the streets, let's say you pass by a restaurant and someone is eating, let's say you pass by an Indian cuisine and there is garlic naan on the table and chicken tikka masala and some pakora. Okay, if you guys know what, let's just say it's just chow mein. How's that? Just in case you may not know what pakoras and garlic naan and those things are. Okay, and it looks really, really nice. But what's going to happen? Well, first you see it, and maybe if the windows are open, you smell it, and you say, wow, it tastes really, really good. And then your imagination comes into play. Maybe I should go in, and even though you just had breakfast, you say, well, I'm really, really hungry. Okay? And as you play with all these images in your mind, next thing you know, you're in the restaurant ordering food. And you wait patiently. Like he has to wait for her to say yes. You wait patiently for the chow mein to come to your table. And then it comes. And then you eat. It's the same thing. All of life is nothing. Everything that you do ultimately is about intimacy. Everything you do. Now, let's say they've been together for about about a year or so. Okay. Now remember, they don't talk about marriage, and if they do, it's in a very superficial manner. They don't talk about being parents, and if they do, it's in a very superficial manner. She comes knocking on his door one day and says, I missed my cycle. Now add to it that she is Catholic. You say, well, honey, how about if you go to Planned Parenthood? Oh, no. I'm Catholic. Well, that didn't stop you from having sex. Yeah, but it's different. Okay, fine. You love her, and she loves you. You know. And now you're entering this realm that Sarah really, really enjoys. Fantasy, which is you go into places you've never been, so you have zero experience. The only thing you know about parenting is you walk the streets and you see adults holding kids' hands. That's the only thing you've seen. And you know. You say, well, that's easy enough. She says, under no circumstances am I getting an abortion. I'm not terminating this pregnancy. And let's just say this man, Jack, is conscientious, somewhat mature. You know, he says, okay, well, fine, let's do it. So you go to Target and buy various cribs, 5 or 6 or 7 of them. I mean, you just don't know what it means to be a parent just yet. So you overdo it, okay? You buy like a truckload of diapers, which is really not enough. You drop out of school. You get a job. You know what rent is these days for like a 1-bedroom? It's $2,500. Now, if you have a child, you don't really want to be in like crummy places, drug-infested, crime-infested environments. You want somewhere safe for your family. So you have 2-3 jobs and you're only 19. You never planned for this. But now it's your responsibility. Do you know the pressure, the stress, the anxiety, the confusion, and ultimately the anger that slowly creates inside you or create inside you? Unimaginable. Remember, all of us here were never planned. We are the outcome of this. You are expecting wrong things from the people who have given birth to you. We are not the outcome of reflection. Just two young people at a certain location finding each other attractive, driven by forces they don't really understand. They have sex, one misses the period, and here you and I are. Now, what exactly is it that you want? Our birth is founded on passion, on reflective passion. You're born with injustice as your sibling. There is no escape from it. Your question ultimately is this: how do I make right what is wrong? You want to go back in time and fix this. It's possible, it just takes a lot of work. When we come back next week, Thursday, we'll continue.
No, Tuesday.
What'd they say?
You said Thursday.
Tuesday. This has been a very, very depressing class. It's enjoyable, it's just depressing.
I mean, yeah, it makes you realize what is actually, like, makes you think about shit. That's
Yeah.
really going on, you know?
Yeah, so next time you go out there walking the lake, seeing people holding hands, it's fake. It's not real. It's bound to fall apart. Don't be jealous, envious, or resentful.
Should I tell them that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no. It depends how big they are.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
All right, have a nice weekend, you guys.